The Jets' 27-20 victory over the Buffalo Bills yesterday take their season record to 2-1, 1-1 in the division, and undefeated at home. It's a far cry from that 32nd power ranking they had going into Week 1. Evan, what do you take away from their victory yesterday at MetLife?
Well, I think you have to say that this defense is for real. And I know they looked phenomenal in the first 2 weeks, but there are definitely questions. How good is this Bucs offense? You go to the Patriots, they're missing a lot of offensive weapons. But for the third straight week, they've looked absolutely dominant. They held the quarterback under 50% passing for the second straight week. They sacked E.J. Manuel 8 times when he was only sacked once in the first 2 games. Really, they look for real.
Let's talk about offense for a second. Geno Smith had 300 passing yards. He also had 2 picks. Do you think that his progress is coming along the way it should be expected?
It really does seem like he's getting better each week, and this looked like his best performance. The first couple of weeks, he looks shaky. He had times where he looked good. He looked poised. Other times, he looks like a rookie. And the biggest thing was just it didn't seem like the offense could really consistently score points. And it's going into this game, there's the belief that a defensive or special teams touchdown was going to be necessary to win this game. But he goes in there, he does lead the offense. They looked fine, at least league average, and they were able to move the ball, and at one point it looked like they were going to run away with this game.
Yeah, I should also mention that his attitude never seems to, falter. He always seems to stay positive, get back out there, and do his job. Let's talk about the receivers. They had the dropsies last week, and this week they really fixed that. They stood out. Santonio had his first big game. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I thought the main guy to me that stood out was Stephen Hill, and I know he didn't have a ton of catches, but he did have that one play which obviously sticks out. If he can solidify himself as a weapon, and he has all the physical tools to be a standout wide receiver in this league, that really helps his offense. And then Santonio Holmes, he's been working his way back from the injury. He didn't play during the preseason, so kind of working out the rust, and he looked like a legitimate number 1 receiver this week. And then, of course, getting Jeremy Curley back. And now you had those 3 receivers, those 3 guys that were a threat. They were stepping up and helping Geno, and that obviously helped him. And as a rookie, that's something that you look for.
Bilal Powell also had a big day yesterday. It's like the running game actually showed up, especially when Chris Ivory went out with an injury, so he took over.
Yeah, and this is the second straight week that the running game has looked good. Bilal Powell performed well. Chris Ivory, last week performed well before he got hurt this week. And I think what that really speaks to is how well this offensive line is coming together. That was a strength early on in the Rex Ryan tenure. It seemed to fall to the last couple seasons, but it's coming back strong this year. Vladimir DeCoste is having a resurgence. Willie Colon is playing well for them, and that just made that a strength. And that, more than anything, going into the season, was something you're looking for, and it looks like a strong positive for them right now.
And we can't not mention the amount of penalties. There were 20 penalties against the Jets yesterday. Is this something we have to worry about?
I'd say we can wait a couple weeks before we start worrying about it. Like you said, this was a lot of penalties, and this is not something that we see regularly from the Jets. That 20 was just a crazy amount. Seems it's been a while since it's been that way. You gotta this coaching staff has been around for a while. This locker room. You like the coaches in place, and I'd like to. I would if this happens in a couple more weeks, I'd start getting worried. But for one game, a heated divisional race, I'm not worried just yet. I'm not hitting the panic button.